Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's your boy RBP Gang, RBP Nation, RBP Boxing, RBP MMA, and today a banger just got announced in the featherweight division. We have former champion in the bantamweight division, ALJAMAIN Sterling, going up against MOVSAR EVLOEV, Russian phenom, undefeated fighter. Honestly, I'm so excited for this fight. ALJAMAIN Sterling is my favorite fighter, probably like of all time. If not him, it goes Aljo, let's see, MVP, and David Onama, I guess. Two of those guys are at 145, so that'll conflict if they ever fight. But Aljo's my favorite fighter, like, of all time. I love his grappling style. When he was getting hate, man, I was supporting him. So this is a big fight for me. But I'm trying to keep this breakdown as unbiased as possible. Very tough fight, I would say, for Aljo. Probably the toughest fight. Honestly, as an Aljo fan, I want to see him up against the best guys because I think he's the best in that division. I think if he beats MOVSAR, there's no reason why he can't beat a guy like Max. No reason why he can't beat a guy like Topuria. So I truly believe MOVSAR is. I think, honestly, these two fighters, ALJAMAIN Sterling and MOVSAR EVLOEV, are two of the best guys at 145. You could put them in a fight with Ilya Topuria. You could put them in a fight with Max Holloway. They'd hold their own. You know, these championship caliber guys. I mean, you see what even though he's winning by decision in a lot of his fights, he's that caliber. You know, so I would have loved to see how MOVSAR would have did against Topuria. I know that fight fell out a couple times, but yeah, man, I'm not like I'm just. It's such a good fight. It's such a good fight on paper. I'm excited. These are the fights that really get me out of my seat. You know, not the ones that we had this weekend, like Virna Jandiroba and who's she fighting? Some other girl. I don't even. And that's the problem. You know, I don't even know who she's fighting. That's kind of bad. That's kind of bad on me. But you know, we need those big matchups. You know, I think obviously next week we're gonna have that with Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad. But a fight like this, ALJAMAIN Sterling, MOVSAR EVLOEV, it really gets you out of your seat. So if we're just breaking down the logistics. ALJAMAIN Sterling's coming off the Cavalcator win. Dominating performance. Just, I mean, tremendous, honestly. I think some people thought that Cavalcator would go out there and maybe defend the takedowns, but he just ragdolled him. You know, ragdolled him, showed his wrestling was superb. Probably the best performance on UFC 300, honestly. You could honestly score every single round, 10-8s. It was very dominating, you know. And what we saw in that fight, honestly, if I'm being like 100% honest, neither guy, I don't think, has the ability to... Not that they don't have the ability to, but they're not really... Neither of them are really finishers. I think Aljo has more finishing upside. Like, I think he could get a finish in this fight, but not something that either guy really does. I will say that I'd like to see if it's 3 rounds or 5 rounds. I don't know if we have that yet. I think it would be a 3-round fight, but I think... I don't know which one it really favors. I think both these guys, they fight for 15 minutes. They fight for the decision, so they're going to try to win every moment of that. And that's how we kind of got to see the fight playing out. I'm really interested to see how the strategy plays out. Is MOVSAR going to try to take down ALJAMAIN Sterling? Because I don't think he can. I think ALJAMAIN, in this matchup, in my opinion, I think ALJAMAIN Sterling is a better grappler. I think ALJAMAIN Sterling has the ability to take down a guy like MOVSAR EVLOEV, even though he is so good on the ground. We saw what ALJAMAIN Sterling was able to do to Olympic gold medalist wrestler in Henry Cejudo, so you can't count him out. You know, a big narrative in that fight was that, no, he won't be able to out-wrestle him. He won't be able to take him down. But he did do that, and he controlled him. You know, MMA wrestling is a whole different ball game than something like, you know, just traditional wrestling. So MOVSAR showed, you know, pretty good wrestling, but it's a whole different ballpark when you're in there with a champion, like a former champion like ALJAMAIN Sterling. And then the striking, I think a lot of people are going to be looking at the match and being like, ALJAMAIN Sterling, you know, the striking. That may be where MOVSAR EVLOEV has that ability. But even MOVSAR, I think I don't want to say they're similar, but neither of them are the greatest strikers in the world. I feel like their striking is used to set up that takedown, especially with MOVSAR. And MOVSAR, I mean, I thought he was getting touched up a little bit by Arnold Allen. Some people even argued that he lost that fight. So I think a guy like, for him not being able to, and Arnold Allen's a very good defensive grappler, I would say. He was able to scramble out of his positions. He reminds me a little bit of like a JDM, where he'll get taken down, but he's able to battle back up to the feet. But I think a guy like Arnold Allen, ALJAMAIN Sterling would have controlled him. If you saw what ALJAMAIN Sterling did to a guy like Petr Yan, was able to control him for large durations of the fight. Cejudo, that's someone, you know, MOVSAR, I think he gets so many takedowns in these fights because he can't get the control. You know, so that's something. I think ALJAMAIN Sterling has many ways to win the fight. I think he could go out there and outstrike MOVSAR EVLOEV. I think he can go out there, have that confidence, you know, stay at range, be a little faster, just be smart with what he's doing. And he can also go out there and take down MOVSAR EVLOEV. So I think strategy is going to be a big part of this fight. I think both guys have to approach this with caution because I think you don't want to make a big mistake that might cost you the whole round. You know, it's definitely going to be a decision fight. There's no world where either guy gets a finish, but I see Aljamain Sterling. I think he can get a takedown. I think he can control a guy like MOVSAR. And I think he can land more damaging shots, too. I think he has better timing. He's, struck with the best guys that we've seen. He struck with Jan. He didn't do bad in that fight. He struck with Cejudo. He did very good. In the striking scenes that we saw with a guy like MOVSAR, he didn't look too good. I mean, he looked decent, but nothing too crazy, nothing to write home about. I gotta check if he had a fight since then. Just give me a second, because I'm just going off the dome. This fight just got announced. Actually, it got announced 3 hours ago, but I was on the game, so I didn't really get any time to sit down and see if the fight even got announced. This is a little late, but yeah, so his last fight was the Arnold Allen fight, and then the Diego Lopez fight, man. We don't talk about that fight enough, man. Now we know that Diego Lopez is a very good fighter, but it's not a good look because you haven't seen Diego. I mean, Diego Lopez actually, he's finished people. He's looked pretty good, but Diego Lopez didn't do that to Dan Ige, so Diego Lopez, very raw prospect. The fact that he was able to almost go out there and finish a guy like MOVSAR EVLOEV shows you that there's holes and shows you that this guy can be beaten, this guy can be put in bad spots. So, Aljo by submission, he's a very crafty guy on the ground. I know he has a pit submission match coming up in 2 weeks leading up to this fight. He's always improving his grappling. He's always improving his chokes and all that, his BJJ. I think he's the more craftier guy when it comes to on the ground. I think he'll be more keen in those positions. And he's working with a guy like Marab, a guy who's, coming with the pressure, coming with the cardio. Aljo doesn't get tired. I think he can put the pace, put MOVSAR on his back foot, work a jab, some good kicks as well, working a takedown or two, and just show his experience, show his championship level, fight experience. He has good guys in his corner. Obviously, Marab. He has a world level coaches. Sorry, that's not something that MOVSAR EVLOEV can boast by this point. I think he's a young prospect, MOVSAR. I think he's not quite at the level quite yet. So, and we've seen those shanks in his armor so far. I think this is the final thing that'll stab him through the shield. So give me Aljamain Sterling by decision. Maybe even by sub, but I'm gonna just stick to by submission. I'm gonna stick to by decision. And yeah, man, I think after this, Aljamain Sterling beats MOVSAR EVLOEV by decision. Then we go after the winner of Ilya Max. It's a close fight. I don't really know. I'm waiting for that announcement because actually I hope that gets pushed back, man. Because I can't really make my mind up on that fight. There's worlds where I think Max could win. There's worlds where I think Ilya could win. It's a 50-50 fight. So, it could go either way. But I'm leaning towards Max. And I love a Max fight for Aljo. I think Aljo would work Max, But with a fight like Ilya, that's a tough pause. My bad. I'm stuttering hella, bro. I'm mad excited. But that's a tough fight. That's a tough fight for sure. Ilya Aljo. That's a tough fight. But I think a guy like Max, I think that's an easy puzzle to solve. I feel like he's a very one-dimensional fighter. At least from what we've seen. So if Aljo can just get the takedowns, I think he's a way better grappler. I think Calvin Kattar and Max Holloway are pretty comparable. I think Max has the more dangerous hands, but if he can get that takedown, get him down to the ground, he can make that fight look very easy. So that's how I see it. Like I said, super excited for the fight. Y'all can hear I don't know if y'all can hear the trembling in my voice, man. I'm shaking, man. This is like, I don't know. When my favorite fighters fight, man, it's an event, man. It's like we go to war, Devin Haney. Devin Haney's my favorite boxer. Not quite MMA, but yeah. When Devin Haney fights, when Aljo fights, when MVP fights, man, I was jumping up and down, man. I was hoping he would get that decision, but he looked fine. I think he's a great fighter, great striker, best striker in the UFC. Honestly, for him to turn Ian Gary into a wrestler, but that's besides the point. We go into war for Aljo Nation, Backpack Nation, YBP Nation, accompanied, So, hey, Aljo's finna destroy MOVSAR EVLOEV 30-27 decision incoming, and that's all I got for y'all today. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, MOVSAR. You know what it is.